The Johnson family had been searching for a new home for months. The city was expensive, their budget was tight. So when the house in Townsend, Massachusetts came on the market, they jumped at it. At first glance, it looked perfect. A classic 1920s structure. Brick exterior, green shutters peeling slightly, a garden with overgrown grass, quiet street. Neighbors waved politely. Inside, the house smelled faintly of old wood and dust. The floors creaked underfoot. Sunlight filtered weakly through the tall windows. Everything seemed normal, but something felt off. It began subtly. The youngest daughter, Emily, claimed she heard whispering at night. Her words were dismissed at first. Children's imagination, the parents thought. But then the kitchen knives moved. The living room couch cushions shifted. Small things, almost imperceptible. One evening, Mr. Johnson walked into the hallway and heard a soft tapping behind the plaster. It was rhythmic. 3 taps, pause, 2 taps. It stopped when he approached. He frowned. He told himself it was the house settling. Old houses creak, that's all. But the feeling of being watched persisted. At night, the house became a labyrinth of shadows. Every sound echoed unnaturally. Every creak became a warning. The family tried to ignore it. They tried to sleep. They failed. The walls seemed alive. At night, the house's subtle noises grew louder. Emily woke up screaming. "Someone's here!" she cried. She insisted she had seen a shadow moving just beyond her bedroom door. Her parents checked. Nothing. No footprints. No signs of forced entry. Yet the fear in her eyes was real. The tapping returned. Always the same wall. The wall closest to Emily's room. Mr. Johnson pressed his ear against it. Silence. Then a soft scrape, like fingernails on plaster. Mr. Johnson shook his head. It had to be rodents, rats, mice, something. But the sound had a pattern, not random, deliberate. The family began hearing whispers, soft, almost human, in the dead of night, always near Emily, always out of reach. One morning, Mrs. Johnson noticed the family's cat staring at the wall, its fur bristling, hissing, growling. It fled when Emily entered the room. The tension escalated. Objects shifted during the day, too. Books moved from shelves. Cups slid slightly on tables. The small signs were subtle, but the feeling grew. They were not alone. One night, Emily refused to sleep in her bed. She claimed someone had been watching her from the closet. Her parents laughed nervously. It was probably a nightmare. But at 2 a.m., Mr. Johnson heard it again, footsteps pacing behind the walls, soft, slow, deliberate. He tapped the walls, called out. Nothing. Then the scraping returned. This time louder, closer. He froze. When the police arrived weeks later, they found the horrifying truth. Daniel LaPlante, 16 years old, living inside a hollow section of the wall. He had entered months earlier. He had observed the family, memorized routines, and remained undetected. He had moved objects, whispered into the walls, and created the subtle chaos. He had been feeding on the tension he caused. The Johnsons couldn't comprehend it. Their home had been invaded. But no one had walked through the door. No forced entry, no alarms. Just a boy hiding in the dark, inside the walls. After Daniel's removal, the house felt haunted. Not by ghosts, by the memory of being watched. Every creak, every faint rustle triggered panic. Emily would jump at shadows. Her parents slept lightly. The house seemed alive in a new way. Doors would swing slightly on their own. Floors groaned under imagined footsteps. Even the smell of stale air triggered panic. Therapists called it post-traumatic stress. Emily couldn't sleep in her room. Her parents installed locks, cameras, sensors. It didn't help. The terror wasn't supernatural, it was human. A 16-year-old boy had invaded the privacy of their lives. He had touched their home, moved things without leaving a trace. He had watched, and he had waited. The house remains empty now. Stories circulate through Townsend. New families ask about the Johnsons. Neighbors warn, be careful of the old walls. For the Johnsons, the terror is permanent. They feel eyes on them in new homes. The memory of Daniel in the walls lingers. It wasn't a ghost. It wasn't a demon. It was human. And humans can be far more terrifying than anything supernatural.